Welcome to the Carriker Chronicles, the People Show. Check the pulse of Husker Nation, brought to you by Nebraska Spine Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, the Nebraska football season is almost upon us. Now, I'm pretty excited. Now, I want to put a couple of disclaimers on this show. Number one, I'm going to go through this schedule pretty quickly. Why? Two reasons. Number one, every year my preseason prediction show for the Huskers win-loss record goes longer than I would like it to. Number two, each and every week I'm going to break down the Illinois game and Fordham, Oklahoma. Each and every week I'll go more in depth into my prediction and breaking down each game. So this is going to be a quick look at each game, give me some overview thoughts on my final prediction for the Huskers record. Now, you're going to get two predictions out of me. And my final one is the one I give last. I'm going to go through each game individually. Okay, and I have a record prediction at that point, but that's not my final prediction because then I stood back and I looked at the schedule as a whole, and you get a different feel from it. So I'll give you my final prediction at the end once I've looked at the schedule as a whole. Now, let's light this candle. So there's two teams, in my opinion, that have the toughest schedules in the country. Okay, Arkansas, I think, is the toughest. Nebraska, I believe, to be number two. Now, if you look at the Razorbacks just real quick, just as an FYI, they play 5 ranked teams, 3 in the top 10 and 2 in the top 5. And a lot of those games are on the road. Also, most of their other 7 games are going to be what I call war games. They're going to come right down to the very end. They're going to come down. It's going to be tight, a field goal, a fumble, a touchdown, or a stop possession at the end. They've really only got 3 games. You look at their schedule like, man, they should win that game without a doubt. So they got a tough schedule. Now, when you talk about Nebraska, they got a lot of war games too, but they also play 2 teams in the preseason top 5, 3 in the preseason top 12, and they end the season with a little bit of a brutal stretch against 3 teams that are currently in the preseason top 18. Okay, now if you go online and you look at these guys online, which I am one of them, but I'm talking about like the Vegas betting odds type deal, which I don't spend a whole lot of time on, that almost everybody has the over-under win total for Nebraska at 6-6. That's kind of that magic number. Can we get to a bowl game? Can we finally get to a bowl game? Can Scott Frost get that 6th win? It's kind of the barometer. It's kind of the magic number as a whole. Now, if they win every game that they should, that they're going to be expected to win, and there are probably some games in here I'm marking that they should be expected to win that other people might not. Whatever. It's my show. They'll go 7-5. If they lose every game they're expected to, in my opinion, win every game that they should, they'll be 7-5. Again, there are some war games in here that are going to come down to the end of the game. If they win every game that they should, plus get a big upset, 8-4. If they have, I don't want to say a collapse of a season, but another struggling season, I think the bottom of the barrel is 5-7. Now, obviously, you can go 12, 12-0, but for me, a realistic range of wins and losses for the Huskers this year, a team with a lot of question marks and a lot of inexperienced guys on offense, albeit a lot of talented guys, is 5-7 to 8-4. Okay, I broke their schedule down into 4 quarters. The first 3 games, next 3, final 3. Okay, so the first quarter, the Huskers, I mean, that Illinois game's not a gimme. We're favored by a touchdown, and my God, we better win that game, especially after what happened last year, and I do believe we will. So I got us beating Illinois, Fordham, and a Buffalo team that is not a gimme, a team that scored a boatload of points last year, but I have us 3-0 after the first quarter of the season going into that Oklahoma game. All right, now, I would love to predict us to beat Oklahoma, the number 2 team in the country preseason-wise, but I got to see some more from the Huskers before I can make that prediction. So I got the Sooners winning, and I got a couple of those tough/war games coming up next, Michigan State and Northwestern. Now, call me cuckoo crazy bird. Maybe we go 0-2, but I think we can win those 2 because if you look, Michigan State's a program that's had a lot of recent success. Northwestern is a program that is incredibly well coached and had a lot of recent success. But I think we can get those wins and head into the halfway point, the halftime point of the season at 5-1. We'll see. Maybe we're 3-3. I don't know. Then we got Michigan. Then we got Minnesota. A couple more games that are going to come down to the end. A lot of this is going to come down to coaching. Can we find ways to win at the end of the game, or do we not? Okay, so 5-1, heading into the Michigan game, heading into the Minnesota game, those next 2 games, and Purdue. Those next 3 games could all be tough games. I think we win 2 of the 3. I'd say Minnesota, Purdue, we get the edge. I think Michigan probably edges us out. But that would put us at 7-2, heading into that last 3-game, fourth quarter brutal stretch for the Huskers. I think Nebraska fans would take that, especially at that point. Then we got Ohio State. Man, it's hard for me to predict us beating Ohio State right now. So that puts us at 7-3 if they beat us. At Wisconsin, we've had some battles with Wisconsin. But in Madison, getting that win, I got to see more. And again, I can change this throughout the season, but right here, right now, with the info I have, that would put us at 7-4 if Wisconsin gets us as well. Then it's the Iowa game at home. Okay, a tough game. Again, I hope I'm wrong about, at least at the moment. Bear with me a minute, because I may change my mind when I look at the whole thing as a whole. But this is a perception game. And if I do have Iowa beating us at this point in time. That would give us 3 straight losses to end the season, which would be a pretty brutal, tough stretch. It would make Husker fans not very happy. But a 7-5 record as a whole, I think Husker fans would take. Now, again, that's not my final prediction because I step back and I look at the schedule as a whole. And again, it looks different to me when I look at it as a whole than when I look at it piece by piece by piece and game by game. Okay, which is what coaches say to do, but I'm not a coach. My actual final prediction for the Huskers is 6-6. Now, bear with me. Adam, why is it worse? What the monkey do are you doing? All right. So we do have the fourth most talented roster in the Big Ten, in my opinion. When you just look at talent, you look at potential. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State edge us out. Every other school, Indiana, Michigan State, Northwestern, Rutgers, we have more talent than. Okay, so we have the ability to be in and or win just about every game. It's going to come down to coaching this season. All right. I'm at the point now where I got to see it to believe it. I want to see it and I want to believe it, but I got to see it in order to believe it. Now, looking over the schedule as a whole, there's probably a couple of tough games in there, what I call war games, and maybe we don't win. So maybe we have 2 more losses than I earlier predicted. But I also do not believe we're going to end the season on a 3-game losing streak. Again, when you look at it as a whole, you get a different feel than when you take it piece by piece like a puzzle. I hate doing puzzles. I don't have the patience. Anyways, so I'm looking at it as a whole. So maybe we have a couple more losses than I had predicted, but I also think we win that Iowa game. Okay, Ohio State, Wisconsin, maybe not, but I think we win that Iowa game, and I think what that does is that changes the perception. I talked about that being a perception game for the Huskers, and Scott Frost finally beating Iowa for the first time in over 6 years. And if we end up with a 6-6 record, like I'm talking about, that is my prediction. I think Husker fans are going to look at the second toughest schedule in the country. I think they're going to say, hey, we're going to a bowl game in the first time in over 4 years. We beat Iowa for the first time in over 6 years. Okay, I think that changes how Husker fans feel and the perception of this program and the season and the direction that Scott Frost has us going in. I think it changes it to more of a high note heading into the bowl game and the bowl season. Now, ultimately, this is not going to be considered a successful season for Nebraska. We have bigger aspirations down the road. But if you're being realistic, I think that is a successful season for the Huskers right here, right now. 6-6, bowl game, closing out the regular season with the win against Iowa. Hopefully we can win some of those other tough games earlier on in the season and find ways to win. Because if we're winning and losing games that are close rather than being blown out, that'll have a huge impact too. Let me hear your thoughts. For now, that would be a successful season. Then we can build on that going forward. Go big, Red Nose. Remember to throw the ball. Thanks again to our sponsor, Nebraska Spine Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, when it's your spine, you do not want to mess around, and experience matters. That's why you can trust the experts at Nebraska Spine Hospital, the region's only spine-specific hospital. They are the best at what they do.